the Coleman medal.
The Norm Smith medal.
Brownlow medal
is Jimmy Bartel.
Matthew Lloyd.
If the Western Bulldogs beat Geelong on Saturday night, the Giants must beat the Blues on Sunday night. So it's going to set up a cracking final last round. And look at what we're presented with in the last game of the round. The three sides, Jimmy, that are the best defensively over the last 6 weeks. Two of them are Carlton and the GWS Giants. Carlton ranked 1 and the Giants ranked 3.
Yeah, Lloydie, both of these sides are Giants with a new defensive system, and the Blues were almost getting stuck in their back six. But what they do really well, both these sides, is they defend first, they get back and outnumber. And we'll see with these edits, it's defensive pressure, but then not living back. It's actually rebounding off the back of it, which helps your defence. It sounds like you're contradicting yourself. By attacking helps your defence, but it actually gets you up the ground in a really good spot, and then it allows you to cut out the release. This is Lockie Ash, who will freeze right here. First he does the spoil, and as the play plays out, you'll see Lockie Ash. He'll track along the boundary line. There he goes there at the right of our screen. Bob's up here, still playing on. But this brings all your backs and your defenders up, as well as your midfielders. So even though Lockie Ash takes the shot, nails it fantastic, if they were to kick a point, they're in a really good position to defend, which is a long way away from their goal.
Jesse Hogan was on fire last week, kicking 9, and down the other end, Jacob Wiedering was on fire as one of the best stoppers in the game. So here's Jesse. You can't stop that one. But what Wiedering will look to stop is this. The way he used his body is really strong. Zirk Thatcher just kept getting in the wrong position, taking front position where Hogan just nudged him under the footy. Jacob Wiedering won't be doing that. So, but full credit to him, 17 marks, 9 goals, 1. And I think he has to launch at his marks, not get caught in a wrestle against Jacob Wiedering, because this is what Wiedering does. He tucks in behind you and pushes you under the footy.
Yeah, and he'll need a lot of pressure on the ball too, Wiedering, so those long high balls can come in, give him the opportunity to actually work his direct opponent. As you showed in that first one, if you allow the Giants lots of space, free in front of you, it's pretty hard for him to defend. This is another great example against the Suns. Long high ball, he can work his opposite number underneath the footy, which will probably be Hogan, and then he can take the mark and away they go. But this man here, Lloydie, you love him. He didn't have to do much last week, so they subbed him off, but coming into a big game.
Oh, he's a superstar, this guy, Toby Green, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping he is part of the final series, to be honest, because he's a big game player, and these are some of his goals that he's kicked in his career. He's kicked 20 finals goals over his time, and I hope he's there.
Yeah, and the player he was playing on in that last little clip, who he snapped it over his head when he was a Swan, is obviously now a Blue in Nick Newman, and he had the match up against Nick Newman early in the year, and this was over about 120 minutes, so pretty much the whole entire game. The good thing about Newman, and we touched on it before, he defended but he joined in attack as well. When you're playing on really good players, you've got to ask some good questions. He was managing to keep Toby Green pretty quiet that day up there, but again, this highlights he's defending first, but all these numbers are for defenders in the last 6 weeks. 28.7 disposals. It's all the rebound. It's getting involved. It's not living in your back 50.
He's one of the most improved players in the game, Nick Newman. Want to look at the Blues last week? So they've been up for a long time. They've now won 9 games in a row. But they were off in the first quarter last week. And you see here, this is Fiorini. And this was Carlton in the first quarter when they were off. And you watch Braden Fiorini just run past 3 of them. So you cannot be off for a split second, otherwise they'll be out in the first week of the finals. And you see here Fiorini has ran past Dow and others to take this ball. Look at the scoreline. It ended up being 48-8 at one point. But full credit to them. They're a side that looked flat in the first quarter, but they ramped this up, Jimmy. This is when they're at their best, the pressure side of Carlton, and they found a great way to get back and win this game of footy.
It's a real sign of maturity, isn't it? That you can identify it's going against you, and it's nothing dramatic that you need to do. You need to keep putting yourself in the contest, force some turnovers, which then brings your stars into play, and then you get a good look at the goals.
I won't ask you who you're going to tip.
Giants.
Yeah, Giants. I'm going the Blues in that one. They're in red-hot form. The other game we're going to look at is the other one that's finals dependent. It's Geelong versus the Western Bulldogs. The Dogs must win to put pressure on the Giants to win this game of football. And if I'm Luke Beveridge, I'm showing these clips of how you can attack the Geelong Football Club. So this was the Saints. They were at them from, this is the first bounce of football, and Geelong looked slow. They looked really vulnerable, and St Kilda were up for the fight. It was game over pretty much at quarter time.
Yeah, and the pressure maintained throughout the game, which forces errors. And then it becomes the perceived pressure. You can score off turnover, and you get lots of opportunities off the back of this as the game wears on. But St Kilda were magnificent at it, and the Dogs have got to replicate this, which they do have that capability
This is where they were off though, Jim. This is was the first quarter, and this is 6 points to 1. And look at some of the efforts of Adam Treloar and Bailey Dale. Where did they think it was just going to happen? Are they not invested? Are they not happy at the Western Bulldogs? But they were punished. They conceded 5 of the first 6 goals, and it was game over.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes into the game. That's not being switched on to it. A man down back for the Bulldogs, who I'd love to, it sounds strange, I'd love to play free or free him up as much as possible because of the skinny ground down there at GMHBA Stadium. Liam Jones, he's one of the best at doing this. Look at each time, he just comes off his direct opponent. You'd allow the matchups with either Ollie Henry, Danger, even Neil forward, and just keep freeing him up, because if he comes up to about 40 metres out down there at GMHBA, they can get some really good rebound, counter off the back of that. Again, he's playing on someone, but he's giving him a lot of leg rope. Come over, intercept the footy.
We said this time last week that Rowan Marshall had the opportunity to be the best man on the ground against Geelong because they are weak in the ruck. He was the best man on the ground. So Tim English, now it's your turn. So it's all about the Dogs tonight, because this is their opportunity to get in a final series and put pressure on. Reece Stanley may be back, but he's going to be vulnerable. So this is Tim English's chance to seal an All-Australian spot and do a number on Geelong and give them first use of the footy.
Yeah, go ask the Cats some questions, especially forward of the footy. Don't allow Tom Stewart to dictate the game. Make them look around. He can mark the footy and hit the scoreboard.
And Libba.
And Libba, of course. He won't allow those sort of efforts that we saw a little bit early in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he's back, Liberatore. So that's also going to put a lot of pressure on this Geelong midfield that was pretty pedestrian last week. But you want to throw an option up for Patrick Dangerfield?
This is probably my favourite edit of the year. Patrick Dangerfield, look at him there. Gaz Senior, he loves retro round. Get out the old gloves, head down to the goal square, wave everybody out, because they're going to need forward options. Of course, Cameron Hawkins not playing, Rowan not playing, and almost like retro round. Gaz Senior, get down there.
You called this game, Ed.
We can hear Eddie's commentary over it. You can see him smiling over at the desk.
Listen to it.
Kicked 5 goals, 6 in this game, of course, after he hurt his knee. He went forward, he was taking plucks, he was hangers everywhere. I think it's just an opportunity. He could turn on a real show down there for the Cats fans in the last round of the year.
So you think something to look to next year as well, you think, playing more out of the square?
I think so, but they've had to use him up through the middle of the ground because their young midfield has been a little bit experienced, fluctuating a little bit with Guthrie out, of course, no Selwood from the previous year. They've had to use him around the ball a bit. I reckon I'd love to see him just shave the front of his head this week. And
who wins, Jim? Doggies get up?
Oh, you have to say the Dogs. I don't think anyone's playing for the Cats this week, are they?
Doggies should win and put pressure on Jimmy's Giants.
And interesting, because if Marcus Montepelli gets 3 votes, it could be the difference in the Brownlow as well. So just keep an eye on that one. So the ramifications of the Cats going to the veterinarian is going to be profound, not only on the ladder, but maybe on the Brownlow medal.